Right. Does my screen show for you
Yeah,
right now?
we see the
That's
screen,
okay.
yes.
Okay, this is great. Yeah, sorry for the hiccup. It's actually quite most of the time we kind of use Zoom, so I'm not as familiar with the Teams software. But so I think we can get started. This session will be recorded, so we can upload it online afterwards, so that you can always view it again. Um, just wanted to really welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and we are all very excited to meet you in Tashkent in about 2 weeks for the ICHO 2026. So just introduce myself. I'm Zhihan. I am one of the members of the International Scientific Committee for the ICHO this year, one of the authors and the reviewers of the problems. And today I'm also very pleased to have Timur join me in this presentation. He's actually a developer for OlyExams, which is one of the main software that we will use for this competition. And he will really be spending a lot of time going through all the features of this software and how you can use it, especially in translation and preparing the exam scripts for the students. So just briefly, our meeting today will start with me right now, giving an overview of how um, the process will flow during ICHO 2026, where will each step take place, and what tools will we use in each step. And then Timur will take over to go through in detail how to use OlyExams and demonstrate that. I will then take over and talk about our other platform, which is more of a grading platform known as Gradescope. This is actually really easy to use, and it probably takes only 5 to 10 minutes to just show you sort of how it looks like. And at the end, we'll leave time for questions, but while Tima is talking, I'm sure that we'll be happy to take any questions if you have something that is urgent and related to what we are talking about. So the two platforms that we'll use, the main one is OlyExams, which is developed by a team at International Physics Olympiad in 2016. And since then, it has really grown and been used in various international Olympiads. And it's actually specifically designed for hosting scientific Olympiads. So we think that there's a lot of features that will really help us make ICHO a very smooth process, and it has already been used at ICHO between 2020 and 2024 for 5 years. So it's tried and tested. And this year, we are also very happy that together with the steering committee, we have made a few new tools in OlyExams to integrate it with Gradescope, so that we think that this year the process would be even more streamlined. And in OlyExams, we'll be mostly managing the student rosters, doing the formatting of the exam papers and translation. And after that, we are going to pass it to Gradescope for the marking. And in the end, the final scores will come back to OlyExams, where you have to accept these scores um, and and approve them before the student ranking and the certificates can be made. So the other software that we are using is Gradescope. And Gradescope is a commercial software that the ICHO steering committee has basically from the fund paid a certain amount of money so that we can use it. And it's actually been a software that's widely used across various universities in the world. And we started using it at ICHO since 2024 because we have a large number of scripts that have to be marked in a very short time. And it helps us organize this and make sure that the grading is fair and according to the same rubrics, and that we can easily check and verify all the grading that has been done. And this grading will be done in a question by question manner. So this is one slide with a lot of information, but basically all of the student registration information that you have submitted to us, we have it on hand right now, and we are going to start creating these profiles with the names of students in OlyExams. And we are also going to transfer these rosters from OlyExams and sync them to Gradescope so that each delegation will have one OlyExams account that you can manage all 4 of your students. And for Gradescope, you actually have 4 different accounts. So you have one account each for each student. So if you have 4 students, you'll have 4 accounts. But if you have less students, you'll have less accounts. On OlyExams, there will be the official English exam, which will not be released now, but will be released after the opening ceremony of our Olympiad. And you will be able to access these exams on OlyExams and do the translations in OlyExams. The final copies of these exam papers and answer sheets, will print them out, put them in an envelope as done every year, and you will get to check how it looks like and sign off on the envelope before they get passed to the students. The answer sheets, as always, do not need to be translated. So these answer sheets will actually directly be used in Gradescope as a template for creating the rubrics for grading. Once the students take the exams, their exam scripts will be scanned and first uploaded onto OlyExams as one PDF document. OlyExams now has a tool that divides the scripts into various questions that then get moved to Gradescope. And the grading will be done on Gradescope in a question-by-question way. So once the grading is completed, you will be able to see it on Gradescope once you get on the 4 different student accounts. So each student's answer will be in a different account, and you can review that marking and submit regrade requests. So later I will demonstrate that on Gradescope. And during the arbitration process, we'll be using Gradescope for that whole process. So we'll be looking at the marking on Gradescope and changing the grades on the scores on Gradescope. And there is not a real-time sync between the scores on Gradescope and OlyExams. So if you see that the score on Gradescope has been changed, but the score hasn't changed in OlyExams, sometimes it takes a while before. So every few hours, we try to keep the scores up to date on OlyExams. And the most important part is at the end of the arbitration, you want to make sure that the scores on Gradescope for your students is exactly the same as the scores reflected on OlyExams. So in the end, the scores in OlyExams are the ones that we will use for the ranking and awarding of medals and other awards to the students. So you would like to make sure that the grades in Gradescope is exactly the same as those in OlyExams, and you will have to do a sign off to confirm and acknowledge that they are correct, and that's done in OlyExams. And finally, we will, based on that, create the ranking, give the awards to the students, and prepare our certificates. So the last slide is just a short of a list of what I think is the most important things to do as a mentor. So at the start of the IChO, just make sure that, so we are in the process of doing this now, but creating the login and password for every delegation and sharing it with you. So for OlyExams, you have one login and one password. For Gradescope, you actually have one set of login for each student. Make sure that with your computer, with your laptop, the one that you are going to use for during IChO, that you are actually able to go online and access both of these platforms. You have the suitable capabilities in your browser, and also check the details. When I said details, the most important thing is that the names of your students are registered correctly in OlyExams, because that's how they will appear on the certificate for the students. So so just so that they definitely get a certificate with their right name, which is so important to them. And before the exams, please, you can review that exam question paper and answer sheet on OlyExams. So that's after the opening ceremony, and then we will have our jury meetings to discuss the questions. And the translation of the exam question paper will be all done on OlyExams, and Timur will guide us through how to do that very soon. Once the translation is complete, we will print hard copies for all the students and all the all the various and the answer sheets and put that all in an envelope. And the mentors will have to sign off on this envelope to make sure that the final printed versions, which is what the students will receive, is going to be correct. After the exams, the scientific committee will start doing grading, which will all be done on Gradescope. You will have access to Gradescope during this full time. So if you just go on Gradescope and log in with your student accounts and look at you will be able to see when the grades get actually published, and they actually get published question by question. So if we are done marking, for example, question 7, that would be the first one to be released, and you will then be able to see how your students did for that question. And you are able to submit, there's a function that allows you to submit regrade requests. So we have been trialing this use of this request for the past 2 years. It definitely is helpful because it helps us identify sort of really some grading errors that are just a careless mistake that can be easily corrected. Then we don't have to spend time during arbitration. If you have a more serious question about the grading, I would advise sort of not writing a 2-page essay at the grading request, because there will be a time where you can talk to us, the scientific committee, to talk about the grading, but it's not as easy for us to sort of try and reply to every very long request, because usually there's not a very long time between when you submit the regrades to the arbitration. But the benefit of doing that regrade request is so that if from the grading perspective, if we see the same grading issue being brought up again and again, then we do know what to expect during arbitration, and we might internally first decide if we want to make a change to how we grade certain things, because there's a lot of feedback from the mentors about this one particular situation. So all the grading, as I mentioned, would be done in Gradescope. These will be updated in OlyExams once every few hours. And most importantly, at the end of arbitration, make sure that the scores in Gradescope is the exact same as the scores in OlyExams. And that score in OlyExams is the one that you'll accept as the final score of your student, and the one that we will use for our ranking and for the awarding of awards. Okay, so I think that's all I have for the introduction, and I'll be very pleased to sort of hand the session to Timur now, who will tell us more about how to use OlyExams specifically.
Do you see the screen? I go to the full mode, full screen mode. Everyone can see the screen, yes?
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Good time of the day to everyone. I'm Timur, and today I will present you a general introduction about OlyExams and how it's being used. I'm sure most of the mentors are quite familiar with the software already. It's been used, as Jihan mentioned, in many different Olympiads. So it's we keep adding new features every year depending on our experience, and yes. The main composition of the OlyExams is basically cloud-based system, so everything is stored in the cloud, and it contains the board meetings, so for feedbacks, voting, and translations, and it's also used for printing and scanning of the exams, and finally it's for marking and moderation. In this case, arbitration, but it's partly done with the Gradescope in chemistry Olympiads, which is important to keep in mind. So our team is quite big, and almost everyone is former Olympiad participant, including myself as well. So we have been students, we've been part of organization as well, so we know quite well how the Olympiad structure works. And in this event, particularly, we are going to be supported by me. Janos is also in the meeting as well, and Mario will be our remote support if we need additional help. Me and Janos will be on site supporting you during this event. let's get started. So for the login, you can go to during the event, you'll be able to log in through IChO-2026.oly-exams.org. This will be the main web page we use for everything. So you log in here and you will receive your delegation name and password, account and password, so you can log in with those, and you can use same account by multiple people. All mentors will use the same login credentials. So basically, you will have one account per delegation. To say that we are mainly supporting Chrome and Mozilla Firefox. They are the most. We know that everything works there. Everything is being developed on these platforms. So if you are using some other browsers, you might have some issues, some troubles. We highly recommend to switching into Chrome and Mozilla during the events. Yeah. So in this case, of course, passwords are generally try to avoid the repeated like zeros and O's, for example, that can be sometimes mismanaged, or one and I's. We try to limit use of those characters. So you usually get password which cannot be resembled, but always make sure that you cannot log in to check this kind of character mismatch. As I said, so each delegation can log in and can use the same account and can do different things. So the system doesn't limit anyone logging. If you have, once you have the password, the credential, you can log in, you can use it. But the only important thing is you should not work on the same problem on the same translation at the same time. This can create problems in the system. So first, the main important part of the OlyExams for the event will be the translations and feedbacks, of course. So if you log in, you will see this is the screen what you usually see when you log in. So you will see your delegation name here. For example, ARG means Argentina. And if you go to the exam, and you can see here it says define languages, my translations, final submission, etc. You can see all this. This will be the main part you will be working. First thing, you have to define language. So you go to define languages, and then you say create new version. So each language means kind of a file working. And the second part is translate. So before translation, you have to create language, and then you go to translation. And the final submission is when you finish the translations, when you are sure everything is done, you can go and submit for printing. So when you do final submission, this PDF will arrive to the computer for the printing team, and they can start printing. And once printing is done, you can come and check, and you sign off to make sure everything is correct. And you can also view official exam. Here you can add your feedbacks. I will show this in details a bit in upcoming slides. And you can also see other translations as well. You can see different delegation translations. You can see what they're doing. You can also, if you want to, for example, use the kind of check out or hack or copy from different delegations, you can also use this view all translations and then copy from other delegations. And finally, you can see the feedbacks here. So when you go to the official exam, so this is how it looks like. If we click official exam, this will be looking like this. Here you have the version. Maybe I can make a pointer. Exactly. So here you can see the version, and you also have a button here to compare the version. If it's been updated usually during the board discussions. And here you can click view submit feedback. So you can submit feedback specific on each point of the question. For example, some of the answer sheets or some of the part of the question is problematic. You can just submit specifically on that part, and this helps for organizers to find out what do you mean, what are you talking about, which part. It makes it very easy. And here on the right side, there is a part called select exam. Here for chemistry, we have two types of exams, experimental and theory. So you can choose, and then you can see the questions. These are different questions and answer sheets. So if you can click them, you can check one by one, and you can also generate a PDF. This basically shows you how the PDF will look like. And then you can submit your feedback on specific parts. So comparison, as I said, this is how the translation screen looks like. When you log in, you can create your language and you start translating. And here you can say English, it says version 2, for example, and usually this can be updated from time to time. And you can compare it, and you can to newer version or the older version, for example, and you can see the changes will be marked in blue. So here it says 5% of total. So it means this has been changed. Also the numbers has been changed, etc. And this is the right part is the place where you will be doing the translations. So there is a button called copy all. For example, if you are going to use the English version or some other version from the language, you just copy it. You want to change it, you can always do this button. And for each individual block, there is a copy button. You can specifically copy part of the block or each block. This is useful when you have some equations within, you can just copy it and then change. So you keep the equation intact, but you can change the other parts. Regarding the feedbacks, so here, if you you show the screen, and if you click on it, and you can see the new screen will appear, new window will appear, and this window, you can already see the feedbacks. For example, see here it says 4, it means 4 feedbacks already been submitted, and you can see, you can also see the delegation name, which delegation has submitted, and organizers can also comment on this. For example, there is some typo, they say it's been corrected, they can put their own feedback as a response to your feedback, for example. And you can add your comment. And let's say if the comment, what you wanted to insert has already been inserted there. So you can just click like button or dislike button. You can just mean so you support it or you don't support it, etc. And if you click this additional smaller button here where it says chat, you can open up and you can see, you can start talking with delegation who submitted the feedback. This helps, for example, you want to discuss with that person, you can discuss it through here. This makes the feedbacks mainly very easy for the organizers, especially to check, to sort them out. And there are also types of the feedbacks when you want to submit. So here you can mention it, for example, the typo. There are, I think, 6 types of them we have here. No, we don't have here. So you can also choose, for example, if it's typo, you can choose typo. If it's error in the formulation or error in the exam, you can choose type of the feedback as well, which helps for the organizers to implement it. And there's also voting part as well during the discussions. Sometimes some things needs to be voted, decided upon voting. So here you can see the votes will be created by the board. And you can, when you log in and you click on the voting, you will be able to see this. So here, so usually in chemistry, we have 2 leaders, head mentor and mentor. So both of them need to vote so they can log in on their, and then they both of them can choose what they want. You can basically, it's usually yes or no, or abstain from voting. And you can also see associated feedback. Usually votes are, for example, once after the feedback, it says scheduled for voting, then you can also see what are you voting for here. So usually it's important thing is in chemistry, especially 2 leaders needs to log in at the same time and then cast their votes at the same time. So you'll be together usually, and then you can vote for both of them. And we also have downloads feature. Here mainly it's you can see there is some information, some instructions. The official English exam will also be the downloads. So you can click on downloads, you can see some of the files, and this is also a bit more personal space. You can also, for example, put your stuff there in downloads as well. I mean, if you have some information, usually for the organizers, from the organizers is mainly put in this section. You can look and you can see what files they have there. And one important thing, if you are using download manager, so make sure that sometimes it can cause some issues. So it's idea to try on different browser or just don't use download manager, just use normal download from here. But they're mostly small stuff, it's not big files. And once your exam is over, you can also see the results. If you click on the results, so first you can see the student scans. So scans are automatically sorted out based on the question, based on the student, based on delegation. So when we print, each print will contain QR code, and QR code will contain information about the question, about student, about delegation, all the information that's required. And the system will sort them out based on this. Eventually, you can just look at the scans and see them and use for marking, for example. Because you can also print them out if you want, and then you can still do the marking on paper. And delegation marking is this official marking. So the delegation marking is where you can put your own marks, and you can also compare it with the official marks. For example, this helps to find out where you can do arbitration. If the mark is the same with the official marking, then you will just, it looks gray. If there is any mismatch, it will show in red. So it will be easy for you to look it up and then basically check where you can do arbitration. So it helps out to find out where you want to do arbitration and where you want to discuss with the authors. And eventually, when you have final points, so here is this is the final sign off. So you check the points and everything is correct. You do sign off, meaning you accept the points, and this will be used for ranking. What Jehan mentioned in his presentation. So it's a good idea to check here in this case to make sure that always compare with Gradescope in this case to make sure they're updated. Usually it will be updated done manually, and we try to do them as often as possible. But you have to check from time to time to make sure that they are matching what after your especially after arbitration. And if you need some help, we of course have in the webpage that is called documentation. This is also updated regularly. So if you click on it, it will take you to a separate page. And here you can get step-by-step guides and how does it work and how the translation process works as well. So you can read it and you can kind of get familiar. And this is the first level of support. So if you need, you go documentation, you check, and if you cannot solve it, you can ask, we call it first level of support. So since we are only 2 people and we will be mostly busy with the monitoring, with checking, with updates. So we will have a team of people who are trained to support you. This will be from the organization side. Usually they will be in the board meeting room, in the translation room, and then you can ask them. And then if they cannot solve, then you can come to us and we can help. So you can also probably reach out to support staff. Usually it's in the organization side. We don't know it yet, but probably you will know when you are in the Olympiad. And usually if they cannot solve, they can come to us. So usually don't come to us as the first point. Try to find people from organization. And if you cannot solve, then they can come to us. We can try to solve the problem. And we can go to the translation part, go a bit more in detail because this is the most important part. So first, to start, you have to define a language. So here, when you click define language, you'll see this kind of window appearing. So you can put the name of the language. So you can say Swiss German, and then you can choose language style. We have a lot of styles there, so you can choose something that matches your language. And here, when you want to, for example, if 2 mentors are working at the same time, so you can create one language called with your name, and then you can merge it afterwards. So it means each person is working on the problem should create their own language and then work on that language particularly. There are some advanced settings here. I will also show this a bit in the later stage, but this is mainly automatically chosen, but it can be required for some of the languages. So as I said, usually it's a good idea to create, it's always required to create each language per person. So if you have two mentors, so each of you creates a different language with a different name, the same language, but with a different name, and then you can use that to work on different problems. And it's important that, as we said before, the translators needs to work on a different language. So you cannot work on the same file in the same language, but it's better to create new language and you can work on the same problem at the same time. And once you finish, for example, you can start from the half, the other person can do the other half, and you can merge them at the end. So when you click on advanced settings, you can see this kind of, especially window appearing. So first it's writing direction, and this is left to right or right to left. And there's polyglossia style, of course, for the, usually it's set to English. It automatically chosen by the language that you have. It tries to choose the style which matches closest to the language. But if no, then you can choose English always. And sometimes it can be other. So if this can cause some PDF generation issues, so in this case, you go and check if it's not set to other, just set back to English, and then it will be okay. First, try to choose a language that matches your language, and usually it's done automatically. But if you mess with this, if you changed it, and you can set back to the language that matches. Otherwise, if you don't know, then just choose English. And this is how the translation looks like. If you go to exam to translations, this is how it looks like. And you can click add translation. So it will create a copy of all of the translatable parts of the exam. So it will just, you can see here, and there is a button called edit. If you click on the edit, then you can start going into the page of the exam and then start translating. And you can also see the PDF from time to time as well. So this is how it looks like when you click on the edit button in the orange button, and this is how it looks like, the window. Here you can choose the exam, and these are the questions, each question, and here you can compare, as we said, with the different versions. And here it says original, says English version 1. You can also click here and then choose any other delegations translation. For example, you translate into Russian, you can choose Russian translation, and then you will see the Russian one, and you can copy it to your case. So here it helps you to basically choose any language that was created in the OlyExams during that Olympiad, and then you can basically see it, copy it, or take a note of it. I don't know. Or you can also do together sometimes. If you speak the same language, then different delegations can also do translation together. And here the translation is a target language. And I said this button is copy full question. For example, if you want to copy all of it and then do the changes, you can also do that as well. And these are individual copy buttons copying everything. We also have auto translate enabled. I mean, it depends on the organizations, of course, but there's option you can use auto translate based on DeepL. If language is not available on DeepL, then it's usually use Google Translate. So it's not the best, but you can try to using it. First, you have to choose the language you want to translate. The system doesn't know what language you are using, but I think it's mostly chooses preset what language has been set there. But you have to always check and make sure that the language on auto translate is being chosen. And then if you click it on, then this button will this button will turn into blue. Now instead of copy all, it's turned into translate full document. So if you click this, it will translate all the blocks into target language using DeepL or Google Translate. In this case, the formulas are not transported, so you have to copy that because formulas are usually they are copied automatically, but sometimes you have to check and then copy them one by one. And here it's important to save it. I mean, system has automatic saving. You can also see here it says last saved, for example, 10 minutes ago. Usually it's not good. It should be a few seconds ago. It should be always saved. If not, then you can also manually save it to make sure your file is not lost. And sometimes the translation can mess up the formatting, etc. It's always a good idea to check the PDF and make sure that everything works. Always check and double check to make sure everything is correct. That formatting is also the way that you want it. Yeah, as I said, the saving is important. Sometimes it can say fail to save. Can happen if you are working two people on the same problem, then because the system doesn't know which one to save. So please avoid that. And if you see this, so this is the problem usually. You should not see this. And the system usually saves automatically. So, and it's also based on the internet connection. And let's say if you see that saves being done in 1 hour ago, etc. This means you might have issue with internet connection. First, check if you are connected to internet, to network, and then it should be saved a few seconds ago. Sometimes system says last saved one hour ago. This can also be normal. If you save it, it will still doesn't change. It means that if you don't make any changes on the exam during 1 hour or 2 hours, system will just show saved. I don't know. It will just show the last time because you didn't make any changes for system to save. So you can just type like I don't know, putting one character and then saving it again to make sure it's saved. Yeah, if you see autosave failed, this usually means you don't have internet connection. Please do not refresh it because all the translations might get lost, whatever you did from the last saving point. First, check your connection, make sure it's connected, and then you can save it. And then you can reload the web page if it doesn't help eventually at the end. But reloading should be the last option. And the merging languages. So we said if two mentors, you can create different languages and then you can eventually merge them. So here, basically, instead of English, as I said, you can choose your other mentors part that's been translated. You can just copy them on the side and then you can put them and then you can merge this way. So you can choose your translation half, maybe it's half, it doesn't matter. You can just merge it here and then choose another one and then merge for the rest as well. In equations, usually, so equations they are automatic. I mean, they're usually copied automatically and they're entered in a equation format. Sometimes you might have to change it. Sometimes you have to check, make sure everything is correct. So for this, you can go to in the math. If you click this button in the paragraph, this is the equation editor, and you can insert here. It's similar to Word file. And if you go to advanced, in advanced, you can see the LaTeX code. So here you can make some changes, and if you understand, so you can edit some things here to correct it or to modify it the way you think is correct. And usually when you in the paragraph, if you bring the mouse, you can see this kind of small button appears. So this means you can just click on the copy. Helps very easy. So you don't have to retype the equation, but you can just translate the part where you want to translate, and then equation comes in. You just click it; it will copy to the next line on the paragraph, and you can continue editing. This makes it very easy. Or the other option is, of course, you can click and then you can advanced mode and copy paste, and then you can put it there. And then always a good idea after equations, or if you're making some changes where you are not sure, it's always a good idea to do PDF generation. So then you will see if there is an error or not, and then you can go back and correct it. Sometimes this can also happen that often, or during even copying as well, sometimes it can copy it in the wrong way. The equations that can be translated in the wrong way, you can see here, it's correct, but normally it should be like this, but it just shows you in a wrong way. You can just go and then text in advanced mode and it should be correct. If you click on the advanced mode and then just check everything is correct, it should be okay. So if it says here, in the editor mode, you can always edit, but in this case, if you see this kind of image issues, a good idea would be to edit in the advanced mode to make sure that it's final, it's correct, because this can happen. And then sometimes the copying equations can also copy it in a wrong way. It can generate error. If you see these kind of issues, first let us know. We can check and correct it. And the second, you go to advanced mode and correct it manually there. And now we added new feature. I think this was from the last Olympiads, where in some languages, because the paragraph length is not the same for all languages, sometimes part of the some part of the paragraph is in one page, the second part is in another page. It's divided unevenly. And then mentors requested, if possible, to end the page and then move the whole paragraph or whole block to another page. So they added option called page break. So what you can do is you can go into translation. You can add command called / page break, and then this will basically end the page there. You can see here, for example, this page continues all the way, but since I added the page break, it has divided the page into two. So whatever after this, it will be moved to another page. This helps, for example, for formatting needs. Sometimes you can make it easier. And just new feature, I think Diana was working on it. We noticed that also a lot of delegations, they use now AI tools, ChatGPT, Gemini, or whatever you call it, for translations. So now you can basically copy it's being implemented, but it should be ready by the Olympiad. So you can basically copy it in AI ready prompt. So you can take it and then pass it in AI, and then AI will translate it. But always good idea to check it to make sure everything is fine. But I mean, you are eventually responsible for the translations and what student gets at the end. Sometimes we saw people doing some copying, some translation in the Word file and then trying to copy it from Excel to Word, from Excel and Word from Microsoft into OlyExams. There you make sure that first of all, it's not a good idea. We don't recommend it. But if you want to do it, always check, make sure if you click on the source code, you can see that sometimes some characters can be copying and causing PDF generation issues. And in this case, if you understand what you are doing, just check and then try to remove some parts of the code which is being copied from Excel, which doesn't fit with our needs. Especially for the formulas, for example, if you put them in Excel and then copy paste it here. But it's always good to check the source code. If you will usually get a PDF error, and then you have to go back and check the source code and then see how it compiles. This is basically the LaTeX format where it shows you roughly how the problem is how the PDF is being constructed, and if you can remove some extra characters that's being copied. For example, here, yes, this is the information which is coming from Excel. This is a special part for RTL, people who are using left to right. This has been mostly corrected, but just a good idea to always use, this is called, if you click on the languages in the edit, in the paragraph, you can see there is a style called LTR or R2L. So basically means left to right or right to left. This is sometimes, I mean, some delegations, they want to put English and then Arabic, or for example, here's Arabic from left to right, that won't put them at the same time, and this can cause issues. For example, something like here, you can see here English is correct, but Arabic part is basically showing as a non-existing character. This is mainly because of the style. So when you choose, you have to choose the Arabic part and then choose the style, saying language style is from left to right, and the system will know, and then it will correct it afterwards. And again, you can choose the English part and then choose the style of the RTL. So one important is make sure that sometimes you can click both of them at the same time, and this can also cause these squares to be appearing. Square basically means Excel doesn't, or the LaTeX doesn't know how to write a character because it doesn't know how it's put. So you have to unclick the wrong one and then click the correct one, basically. I mean, this is a bit more in detail, but here it's roughly the same thing. So you can see here, you can start the text. It starts from the left to right or right to left. This can also help you, but it can be combined together, basically. So it's another same thing. So this shows you where the text will start. You can click this and you can move the start text from left to right or right to left, but it doesn't define the writing style. It just shows you which way the paragraph will be moved, basically. To make sure that this is the correct chosen, and then you also choose the style as well at the same time. PDF generation. So when you click in the bottom, you will see always view PDF. And now in the new version, you also have the solution as well. You can generate with the solutions, and there will be another blue button says solution, basically. And you can create view PDF will generate just PDF itself, whatever you translated so far. And with solutions will also include the solutions. And solutions are not translatable, of course, and they're not copyable as well. And a good practice is always do it regularly. So whenever you did some update, just click on PDF, make sure, because if there is some error, it will be easy to find out, to check your last changes. If you do many changes and then do PDF and then there is an error, there might be multiple errors, and this can be difficult afterwards to troubleshoot, to find it. And sometimes compilation can take a bit longer. I mean, a few minutes, depending on the question, depending on the load. So there's a lot of people doing translations, and sometimes you have to be a bit patient to see your PDF. Usually how it looks like, basically. Yeah. And when you do PDF, it always shows this kind of watermark, says delegation print. This is normal. This is made sure that you don't this is not submitted exam. Submitted exam will look completely different without any watermarks. This is watermarks mainly to show that this is your print and this is not the final exam that you will be submitting. And these are mainly, you don't have to print the exam yourself. So this is also important to remember that the exam will be printed by OlyExams team or by the support team. And this is mainly for you to check how it looks like, etc. You can use, that's why all it contains delegation print, basically. And there's also an option called print. So here, for example, you want to print something else, anything you want to print. Here you can click on the print and you can upload file. and then you can just choose. This usually will be only one printer, depending on the organization, can be multiple printers as well. You can choose, but usually it's black and white print, and you can upload PDF file here, and then you can print whatever you want to print, and you can just go and pick it up from the printer room. So I said, don't use this is not final exam print. You don't have to print it yourself. So final exam will always be printed by the print team. But this is mainly for you to see. If you want to see how it looks like, you can print it here. So for printing your exam during translation, so you can do PDF, save it, and then upload it here, and then print it, and you can see how it looks like. And of course, we always recommend saving as paper as much as possible. I think this is all from our side, and thank you very much. If you want to test system, we can give you a test account and you can log in, and we will upload the general instructions. It will be available, so you can start playing with it, and you can start translations. You can just start testing the system with general instructions, and you can reach out to us. We can provide you test accounts, and if you have questions, we can always answer your questions. I think it's all from my side. I think you can wrap it up. I will stop the sharing.
Yeah, I think I'll just talk a little bit about Gradescope. So that is going to be used for the marking, and here we have how Gradescope was used last year, which will be identical to how it was used this year. So I think for the mentors, Gradescope would be easy to use. Sorry, I'm just hearing. Because you log in as a student account. So once you log into Gradescope, you will see this dashboard. You will see one course. So here, for this demo, you will see a mock course for IChO 2025. Of course, this year you're going to see the course for IChO 2026. And once you click into this, you will see the questions being listed. So in this mock course right now, there's only one question, which was theory question 2. But in the actual Olympiad, you are going to see all the various theory questions and the various experiment questions. So each question will be a different assignment in Gradescope. The other thing to take note is that the questions will come up not in the order, and it's just the order that marking is being done. So theory question 7 could pop up before you see theory question 3. That doesn't mean that there's any error with your system. That's just that question 7 was marked, finished marking before question 3, for example. So once you click into a question, you're going to have this interface. On the right side, you'll see the breakdown of the points for each part of the question. And you'll see highlighted in red where the student has lost points. And when you click on each of them, you'll see rubrics where it says sort of here, you can see -1 point. Let me just have a laser pointer. So if you click on 2.3b, you will see this box will appear around 2.3b. So this highlights where the marker has looked at. And it says that the student lost 1 point because there's an error in a part of the structure that's not undergoing reaction. And you can then look in here to see what exactly has went wrong. And it says here missing deoxyzolidinone. So you will be able to find the comments from the markers and the rubrics to know exactly where the point was lost. Next. So at the bottom of the screen, there's this button called Request Regrade that allows you to submit a message to the marker. So we will receive all these messages. Once you click on Request Regrade, make sure that you are clicked onto the part of the question. Here it says, make sure you are clicked at the correct part of the question. So if you want to request a regrade for 2.3b, make sure that you first click on 2.3b. It shows why the student lost a point in 2.3b. And when you click on request regrade, it goes into the bucket for 2.3b specifically. So it will pop up a window and it says you are requesting a regrade for the question 2.3b. So make sure again that you are submitting for the correct question, and then you have a text box where you are free to write any comments. And once you finish writing that comments, you click on request a regrade, and that request gets sent to us. And this is how it looks from our side. So from our side, we have a lot more features because we are doing the marking, and we will be able to see regrade requests, and we will be able to see all the different regrade requests that come to us. And we can review the regrade request. So once we click on review, we'll be able to see what you commented here. So for this practice, for this demonstration, I just said test regrade. So I will be able to see your comments. And here I will be able to type my response to your comment. So I could say that, thank you for your comment. This has been updated, or something along the lines of, we can discuss more at arbitration, or we don't think that this student deserves an extra point, and things like that. So here I will be able to, or the marker team will be able to respond to your requests. And then when you go back onto Gradescope after we have replied, so usually the regrade request, you submit it in the evening, and the next morning you start having arbitration. So please give us some time to respond. And the next morning before arbitration, I would recommend going to check on the replies on your regrade requests. You will not actually receive any notification, unfortunately, that we replied to you. So you have to probably just check it a few hours later. But then once you go back to that same question, you can see that you have submitted a test regrade, and you see that the comments from the marking and the scientific committee saying thank you, and then it will automatically mark itself as being resolved. The one sort of rule that we set for ourselves, this is not a rule of the system. So in the system, you will be able to reply and request a regrade again. But for the purpose of our Olympiad, there will be a in-person arbitration session. So we ask that you do not submit any more regrade requests online if we gave you a reply. And if you still have any questions about the marking, you can always come in person. But we don't really want to start a very long conversation on this software, because from the scientific committee, we're actually grading 350 to 400 different scripts. So we don't have the sort of capacity to actually reply to every request very quickly. So I think that's all that for the mentors. I think that's all you need to know about Gradescope. It's actually really straightforward. The interface is easy to use, and you will be able to get those accounts and go in and see how it looks like. And of course, we'll all be there to help. And yeah, thanks a lot to Timur for going through in detail how to use OlyExams. I think OlyExams is definitely the more difficult and more involved platform to use. So right now, I think we are at the end of what we have to share. And we'll just stay here for a few more minutes. If anyone has any questions, feel free to use the chat. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask us.
We saw two questions, I think. One was in the recording. It'll be uploaded to the IChO webpage, if I'm correct. Yes, Jihan.
Yes, we'll try to get it on the webpage. I will
And the
contact
second
our
one,
contact.
they said about the printers will be in the hotel in Hiyat. I mean, we don't know where the printers will be, but usually they are close. The printers and the translation room, they are usually within walking distance. So once you print something, you can just go and then check on the. So they will be usually in the same place, but we don't know where it will be for the moment. I think I don't see any hands. I don't know if there's any other questions.
Yeah. I don't see any hands. I don't see anything on the chat. Yep, I think thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope this was somewhat helpful, just going through our process and getting us prepared. We're all very excited to see all of you at the Olympiad. Have a safe travel to Tashkent. We look forward to seeing you, and please feel free to reach out to us in the meantime if you have any questions about anything.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Have a nice time of the week.
Thank you.
Just stop recording. Yes.